Like to call the council meeting to order, please. At this time, we'll have the invocation and the pledge of allegiance to the flag by Council Member Kim McArthur Smith.
Most Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this evening that we're here. We pray for our town. We pray for our residents. We pray for all the decisions that we have to make within this town. We pray for your blessing upon Somerville and beyond on our nation also, Lord Jesus. We lift up these things unto you now. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to move the Dignity Project up from the last item listed as item F on page 3 to before we get into the regular session so they can present that video to us.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and seconded that we move the Dignity Project up to first. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Okay, we'll turn it over to the police department.
Mayor and Council, I'm here present today with members of the Dignity Project we spoke about Monday evening. We have Rich Robinson, who is the Executive Director for the Coastal Crisis Chaplaincy Program, and Dr. Hester Young, who has been integral in helping produce this video. The back 2 rows is our wonderful team, members of the Dignity Project. You would stand just to recognize they've put in countless hours for the past year to work and collaborate alongside the police department and our community efforts that we're trying to improve, as I spoke about on Monday. So I'd like to turn it over to Rich Robinson.
Thank you, Chief. And Mayor and members of council, it's an honor to be here, but it's really an honor just to serve alongside these amazing folks in our community. And Chaplain Amaris and I have really been blessed and inspired. But what really inspired us over a year ago was standing in the square when they had the protests. And when most people were walking away, Chief Wright and then Chief Rogers walked in and stood right in the middle of the crowd and started talking with folks. And next thing you know, they gave them the bullhorn and they started having conversation. And after that, Chief and I spoke and said, you know, we can really do something when we come together and talk. And out of that was born the Dignity Project, was the concept that if we actually just sit down and look each other in the eye and talk, a lot of the things that we started with the divisive things became what united us, and it all centered around mutual dignity. So we assembled a team of diverse community members, business community representatives, faith community from all around Somerville, and we came together and we took community input online, so anyone in the whole community could offer their input. We took team input, and then we started having deep conversations. And out of those hard, deep conversations, we were able to listen, understand one another, understand the different perspectives that both happen at the same time, and able to come out with 4 core themes that we decided we needed to work on as a community. And those core themes were building relationships between police and community. They were having empathy, developing empathy or mutual empathy, really, and also fostering communication and engagement and education in the community. So out of that, we talked through all these hard issues, and we realized that there's something that we have to offer the community. We are able to see eye to eye on these things, and what can we offer the community? A lot of the conversation was about de-escalation, and a lot of the conversation was about use of force and things like that. And what we realized as a team was everything is mutual. We need each other. Our community needs our police need our community, and a traffic stop can be tactical, and it can respect dignity all at the same time. So what we came up with was a body of information that we sort of thought let's put it out to the community in a video. And that's the video that we have today. And Dr. Young is going to speak to that. And again, we just thank you for the opportunity to serve in this community. And before I turn it over, I just want to say, having been a police officer before being a chaplain, and sitting and hearing the community's issues here and police issues, all of this, I just want to say how remarkable the Somerville Police Department and Chief Wright have been in listening to really hard conversations and not answering them with answers, but delving into them with questions and really understanding. It takes a really valiant individual to be vulnerable like that. And they listened, they got to the core issues of each topic we talked about, and the collaboration that has come out of it has just been profound. So I just want to say y'all have a lot to be proud of, and we're proud to be, as we would say, partners with them. So, Dr. Young.
Thank you very much. As a citizen of the Somerville community, I am so proud to be associated with the Dignity Project. Our work revolves around having dignity as a foundation, and through mutual respect, delivering these resources to the community, because we believe that if mutual respect is at the base, at the foundation, then there is a higher chance of understanding and unity being implemented. My husband and I are particularly proud of the fact and the manner and level in which transparency is elevated in these talks. We are proud to be a part of this community, to see that. We talk about hard questions. We go deep, and then we find out that discuss how past experiences will somehow influence our behaviors and influence our perception of what police is, and vice versa. So we move forward through that, and we use those collaborative efforts to create and plan, develop resources for the community to facilitate that understanding and mutual respect. So we have had our first community effort in February of 2021 at Wassamassaw Park, and it was highly successful, thanks to many people in this room. It was well attended. It was just a great day for Somerville, South Carolina. So we're just proud of that. And recently, we have developed an educational video that looks at both sides through the lens of community, the individual, and through police officers. And we give tips, and we move through that and illuminate their minds in terms of what happened, what are they thinking when they stop me, or vice versa. So the team of the Dignity Project developed this video, and we called it the 3 C's of positive police interaction: calm, communicate, cooperate, and communicate. Those are the 3: calm, cooperate, and communicate. So I give you our first video, less than 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time, and we just appreciate the opportunity as a community to work with our police department. It's an amazing organization, and we can only do community together. So thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all very much. Good presentation. Okay, now we move on up to our regular agenda. Approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. Meetings, I hear a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd move approval of the minutes from the Town Council meeting of July 8th, the Standing Committee meetings of August 9th, and the amendment of the approved minutes from the June 10th Town Council meeting.
I'll second that.
A motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of this, signify by raising your hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, ayes carry. Okay, at this time in the meeting, we open the meeting for public comments.
For items on the agenda, Diane Frankenberger.
Hey there, you all. My name is Diane Frankenberger, and I live at 310 Central Avenue, and I have a business in downtown Somerville at 129 West Richardson Avenue. And I'm here because the other evening we had a meeting with the downtown merchants, and one of the items that was brought up was about the ice skating rink. And so I just wanted to let you all know that all of us there that night were in favor of it. And the reasons that we're in favor of it is it would be the last year that we could hold it on that particular piece of property. And I know that it costs money and that the town contributes to that in a partnership, which thank you very much. And then the last reason to have it, which sounds really corny, but I'm going to say it anyway, is just the goodness of this project. If you've ever gone down there and seen what happens, the kids and the grown-ups and Lowe's, I think, lent those orange things so that the kids that didn't know how to skate or the grown-ups that were afraid could push those around. Anyway, when this is a great town anyway, but that's just one of the many things that make it really wonderful. I like to say to customers that come into my shop, you don't have to die to go to heaven. You can just move to Somerville. And it's the truth. And they are all moving here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diane. Next.
That's all I have for public comment for agenda items.
She say. Okay, that's all on public comments. We'll move now to petitions.
Petition by Michael Lawrence Knotts and Laura McCurry Knotts to annex Dorchester County TMS number 13607010002, located at 100 West Butternut Road and totaling approximately 0.85 acres, currently zoned CN Neighborhood Commercial in Dorchester County, and will be zoned GB General Business upon annexation into the town of Somerville's municipal limits, and this is in Council District 1.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve this petition.
Second. Motion made and seconded that we approve this petition. Any discussion?
Just for clarification, Mr. Mayor, the planning commission recommended a zoning of NB neighborhood business. And I would like the motion to include that if we annex with that zoning.
And that was my understanding from the Planning and Development Committee as well. The recommendation for approval from the committee was for zoning it NB neighborhood business. And my understanding from Ms. Schuler was that the applicants themselves have asked for this change from general business to neighborhood business. So if your motion is to amend, I second.
It is to amend.
Okay, so the motion, Bill, your original motion was what Walter said. Are you amending your original motion?
Wasn't my motion. I'm just seconding Walter's motion to amend from general business to neighborhood business.
Okay.
And Mr. Mayor, the reason I made that motion was that the petition as read by Beth, it just said they'd be zoned general business upon annexation. I just wanted to clarify that they'd be coming in as NB and not general business.
So that's what we're voting on.
So you're just changing the petition to neighborhood business?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, any more discussion? All right, all in favor of this signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
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 Opposed likewise? The ayes carry.
Do we need to vote on the original motion as amended?
We do.
All right, we need to vote on the original motion as amended. Okay, do I have a motion on that? We got it. Okay, and a second. We need to vote on it then. Okay. All in favor signify by raising your right hand, voting, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Ayes carry.
Petition by the Rosemary Family Limited Partnership to annex Berkeley County TMS numbers 221-0000, 200, 201, 202, and 220-00021019, approximately 100.23 acres total, currently zoned PD OPIP Plan Development District, Office or Industrial Park in Berkeley County, and will be zoned GB General Business upon annexation into the town of Somerville's municipal limits. This is in Council District 2. The Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation for approval at their meeting on July 19th. Planning and Development Committee voted to move the item to full council with a recommendation for approval at their meeting on August 9th.
Mr. Mayor, I would move acceptance of the petition and first reading of the ordinance.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Ayes carry.
Petition by Thomas A. Limehouse and Robert L. Arrington to annex Berkeley County TMS number 221-000007, approximately 2.926 acres, located at 1321 Beagle Road, currently zoned HI Heavy Industrial in Berkeley County, and will be zoned GB General Business upon annexation into the town of Somerville's municipal limits. This is in Council District 2. The Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation for approval at their meeting on May 18th. The applicant, May 18th, 2020. The applicant requested that the item be held until the properties owned by the Rosemary Family Limited Partnership proceeded with annexation. The Planning and Development Committee voted to move the item to full council with a recommendation for approval at their meeting on August 9th, 2021.
Mr. Mayor, I would move acceptance of the petition and first reading of the ordinance.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
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 Opposed likewise? Ayes carry.
Petition by JSCA Investments LLC to annex Berkeley County TMS number 221-0000006, approximately 7.36 acres, located on Beagle Road, currently zoned HI Heavy Industrial in Berkeley County and will be zoned GB General Business upon annexation into the town of Somerville's municipal limits. This is in Council District 2. The Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation for approval at their meeting on May 18th, 2020. The applicant requested that this item be held until the properties owned by Rosemary Family Limited Partnership proceed with annexation. The Planning and Development Committee voted to move the item to full council with a recommendation for approval at their meeting on August 9th, 2021.
I'll make a motion that we approve this petition.
Second. Motion made and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand, say aye.
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 Opposed likewise, ayes carry. All right, pending bills and resolutions.
Second and final reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 6, Buildings and Building Regulations, Article 2, Division 1, by adding a new section to be titled Section 6-47, Unfit Dwellings.
I'll make a motion that we approve this petition.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I've got some concerns. I know that we've got some dilapidated properties around town that need to be raised or torn down. But I've got some concern that a lot of poor people may be in a position where they cannot afford to bring the houses up to par with what is expected in Somerville. So I'm also concerned that this could leave these properties easy prey for the wealthier people who could take advantage of this situation. So I will vote against this. I'm just putting it on record.
Any other discussion? This would be up to the building official, right? The building official enforcing the building code. Am I correct on that, Rich? I trust our building department, Mr. Brown, that they wouldn't go into somebody's home and run them out on the street and tell them to tear the home down if they were living in there. Put them on the street unless that home was dangerous to them under the life safety code. I understand where you're coming from, and I agree with what you say. But I do trust them that they wouldn't go in and put somebody on the street to tear the house down.
I understand we've got a good building department, but as time moves on, things change. And, you know, it's a situation of many times when laws or ordinances are passed, there's situations that you can't really foresee. And I think this might create a problem for some people who are trying to hold on to their property. They just don't have the money to repair it. So that's one of the reasons that I've been in favor of using some of the monies that's coming from the federal government to rehab some of these homes and try to bring them up to speed so that these properties can be preserved for the future families, all generations that come after the current generation.
Well, I think if a building's unsafe for somebody to live in, if it's a life safety issue, that we need to take a good look at it. And like I say, I trust the people we got working. And if it needs to come down because it's too dangerous for somebody to live in, then it needs to come down. Or else we need to try to find the money to like you say, through the federal government or state grants or somewhere to repair it, put it back in service. And if we feel like we got a bully in the building official's office after Rich leaves, if we could talk Rich into staying here, I trust him with what I know him, and I know he's not going to go in and tear somebody's house down as long as it's livable. But that's up to council then to step in and
I
make
think,
sure that they're doing the right thing.
I agree with you, Mr. Mayor. I think that in the American Rescue Plan, I think there's a provision in there for monies to be used to bring some of the homes up to par that need repair and that sort of thing. Maybe this is something that we could investigate and would bring these buildings up to safety and also preserve the properties for future generations that may follow.
Okay, I agree with you. Any other discussion on this?
Mayor, if I might just, the ordinance as it's drafted now, we could basically do the same thing with our existing ordinances through the International Property Maintenance Code. This ordinance gives protection to the property owners as well as protecting the town. We're having a lot of problems with absentee owners. We have one right now that's been going on for at least 2 years that I know of. This will help streamline. It gives a hearing for people to be heard, and it's not demolition right off the bat. It's a hearing to see if the people can come in and get it up to code and to where it's safe. Just as Councilman Brown mentioned, maybe funds can be made available during that hearing process to bring them back in. Just wanted to tell you why it was done like it was done.
Thank you, sir. Okay, all in favor of this signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, likewise? Okay, Aaron opposes.
Second and final reading of an ordinance to annex Dorchester County TMS number 14507033036, located at 112 Dove Lane and totaling approximately 0.26 acres, currently zoned R2, single family residential in Dorchester County, and will be zoned GR5, general residential, upon annexation into the town of Somerville's municipal limits. And this is in Council District 3.
Motion to give second and final reading. Second.
Okay, motion made and second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Motion carried.
Second and final reading of an ordinance to annex Dorchester County TMS number 154000063, located on Ladson Road and totaling approximately 1.5 acres, currently zoned CG General Commercial in Dorchester County, and will be zoned GB General Business upon annexation into the town of municipal limits. This is in Council District 6.
I'll make a motion, we approve this.
I'll second.
All right, motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Ayes carry.
Second and final reading of an ordinance to annex Dorchester County TMS numbers 144000083, 751 Orangeburg Road, 144000013, 713 Orangeburg Road, 14400000156, 172 Reed Street, 14400000183 Orangeburg Road, 4 parcels totaling approximately 72.89 acres, currently zoned R1 and R1A, single-family residential in Dorchester County, and will be zoned PUD, Planned Development District, upon annexation into the town of Somerville's municipal limits, and the existing Knightsville Tract PUD shall be amended to include these parcels and the additional proposed language, and this is in Council District 4.
Make a motion, we approve this and give final reading.
I'll second.
Okay, motion, got a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Ayes carry.
Second and final reading of an ordinance to annex Dorchester County TMS number 152000013, located off Ashley Bluffs Road and totaling approximately 49.92 acres, currently zoned PD planned development in Dorchester County and will be zoned AC agricultural conservation upon annexation into the town of Somerville's municipal limits. This is in Council District 5.
I'll make a motion that we approve this annexation.
Okay, motion made and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by raising your right hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed likewise. Ayes carry.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that we approve and give second and final reading to the UDO amendments bearing the initials of each council member as noted on the agenda as item 6, sections F through S, and that they may be made a part of the record of this proceeding.
Second, that was me.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would like to amend section 3.3, table of permitted uses related to mobile homes and zoning, only in zoning NR, to permit mobile homes as we have in the past. The old ordinance prior to the UDO allowed for mobile homes, which is affordable housing and which a lot of people rely on from generation to generation, and to only required a minimum of 4,000 square feet to place a mobile home. And the town is growing rapidly, and affordable housing is sort of being left behind. So I think mobile homes are very, very important right now for people to have an option as far as affordable housing. So I ask that we amend only that section related to NR. The other section, MHR, is fine. That's for mobile home parks. If someone wanted to place a mobile home in a park. But NR deals with someone owning a piece of property and they may desire to cut that property in half and give a portion of it to their daughter or son or relative to put a mobile home on.
I think Ms. Schuler can address that point.
We got a motion. Is this a motion to amend that Mr. Brown has made? So we need a second.
I'll make a second for discussion.
As it's currently shown in your packet, it does allow for mobile homes in the NR district. The only conditions they have to meet are the ones that basically they already have to meet because the building code with, it has to be after a certain date and it has to meet wind requirements and all that kind of stuff. But the requirement for only allowing mobile homes in NR, if it was already an existing mobile home, has been taken out.
If someone has a mobile home currently and they want to upgrade to a newer mobile home, I know they're allowed to replace that. But if they wanted to subdivide their property and they've got enough to allow someone else to put a mobile home there, can they do that?
Yes, sir. The way it's currently in the packet, yes, it would be allowed. Yes, sir.
Ms. Schuler, is that what you just told us? Is that addressed by Mr. Jenkins's motion to amend?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, it's only shown as conditional because the conditions are related to the actual setup of the mobile home, not the allowing the use. It's because there are still some conditions. We've taken out the condition that it can only be for an existing mobile home. So it should allow what you're trying to allow without you needing to amend it further.
So you're saying then that my amendment is not necessary because Councilmember Jenkins' motion,
yes, sir,
is actually addressing what I want?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, that's fine with me. I just wanted to clarify. That's fine. So I'll pull my amendment.
I'll pull my second.
Okay, so we back to Terry's original motion. Okay, and who seconded that?
I did, and I withdraw.
No,
Okay.
who seconded?
No,
I
we-
seconded
we
Terry's
keep-
motion.
Yeah, we keep your second, Bob. Okay. Any discussion on Terry's motion? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Vote aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried.
So we need to vote on the motion as, on the amendment as amended. He withdrew. But Councilman Jenkins' motion was to amend what we did for first reading, correct?
Yeah.
So I think we now still have to vote on second reading of the amendments to the UDO as amended by Councilman Jenkins' motion.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
And I'll second.
I see what he's
Oh,
saying.
I didn't know we had to do that. Okay, Walter, you making the motion to second for this, the second reading,
I second.
Yes.
and Bob second?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yes, just shortly, while I don't agree with all of this, I do greatly appreciate not scrapping the whole UDO and the efforts that Councilman Jenkins and Bailey put into getting a compromise on this that everybody can accept. So thank you.
Any more discussion? If not, all in favor signify by raising your right hand. Voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Ayes carry.
First reading of an ordinance to rezone TMS numbers 13000000008 and 13000000050, located on North Maple Street, approximately 20.91 acres, and owned by CVEA Somerville One LLC from NMX Neighborhood Mixed Use to GB General Business. This is in Council District 1. The Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation for approval at their meeting on July 19th, 2021. The Planning and Development Committee voted to move the item to full council with a recommendation for approval at their meeting on August 9th, 2021.
I make a motion that we give first reading to this ordinance to rezone these properties as listed by Beth on North Maple Street.
Second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by raising your right hand. Voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Ayes carry.
First reading of an ordinance to authorize the mayor or town administrator to execute a quitclaim deed for a 1,127.16 square foot portion of an unimproved right-of-way of Noisette Road to AMH Development LLC.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we give first reading of this ordinance to authorize the mayor and town administrator to execute a quitclaim deed for 1,127.16 square feet portion of an unimproved right-of-way of Noisette Road to AMH Development LLC.
Second.
Okay, motion made and second. Any discussion? Not. All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Ayes carry.
First reading of an ordinance to dissolve the Somerville Redevelopment Corporation.
I'll make that motion.
I will-
Got a motion?
Kemma made the motion.
Oh, that a second?
And
I think
Walter
Walter seconded.
Okay, motion made and second. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by raising your right hand. Voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise.
First reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 22, Section 22-115, entitled Classifications of Property and Determination of the Interim Utility Fee.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
I'll second.
All right, motion made and seconded. Discussion? All in favor signify by raising your right hand. Voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Ayes carry.
First reading of an ordinance to amend Chapter 2, Article 5, Division 2, Purchasing by adding a new section to be known as Section 2-327, Cooperative Purchasing.
I'll make a motion that we approve first reading.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any discussion? Not, all in favor signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
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 Opposed likewise? Ayes carry.
First reading of an ordinance for a lease on 100 West Richardson Avenue, Suites A and B.
Mayor, if I could, I'd like to delay voting on this issue until after executive session.
I'll second.
All right, motion made and second. Discussion? All right, all in favor signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
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 Opposed likewise? Motion carried.
Resolution to approve and authorize the South Carolina Department of Transportation to build the Berlin G. Myers Parkway extension in accordance with SC Code 57-5-820 and for the placement of utilities.
Mr. Mayor, I will make a motion that we approve this resolution.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
All right, motion made and second. Any discussion?
I'd like to say this, been on council a long time, and Robbie, I'm so happy just to hear the word Berlin Myers Expressway mentioned. And I hope we can move forward on getting this extension built, because we've got a lot of development waiting on it. And we need to get this thing done. I know you're doing the best you can. I appreciate your efforts.
Any other discussion? All right, all in favor of this signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
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 Opposed likewise? Ayes carry.
Approval of lease amendment to 100 West Richardson Avenue, Suite C.
Make a motion, we approve the amendments.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Consideration to grant an ingress egress easement for access to 206 Cleveland Street, TMS number 13011000036.
Make a motion that we approve this, Mr. Mayor.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
Just a question, will they pay us for this property?
Sir?
Or are we just giving them an easement, or will they be buying the property from us?
I'm not sure, Russ, what are we doing there?
As town engineer here.
Yeah, Russ was here.
I believe it's just an easement.
Yeah.
So the request was for easement at no cost, so there's no purchase on the table.
We're essentially extending Northampton Street, an unimproved section of Northampton Street for this.
Yeah, so they would have the burden of improving their access conditions to get to their property.
Okay.
We would oversee that through a permit process.
Any more questions for Russ?
Let me ask you one question. So what's the difference between granting an egress and a quitclaim?
10th, so our meeting is on the 9th.
The town still retains ownership of the property. It's just,
I'm
it
gonna ask
provides them
this
legal
one.
access to an easement to get to their property. We still retain, the town still retains ownership of the property.
And when you do a quitclaim, you're actually giving them the property.
Right.
Yeah, you quit owning it.
All right, thank you.
Okay. All in favor of this signify by raising your right hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Ayes carry. Thank you, Russ.
Consideration of payment of $125,000 to Dream for 2021 ice skating rink.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I talked on this at the committee meetings. I would like to suggest, make a motion that we put this off until the September 9th council meeting, which will allow our administrator to get back in the office and have a chance to work through the financial situations that we're facing and make sure that we're good to go with this or not.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, raise your hand. If you're in favor, raise your hand, vote aye.
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 Opposed likewise? Carried.
Consideration of restrictions of concealed open carry weapons at or in all property owned by the town of Somerville.
I'll make a motion, we approve this.
I'm not sure what, but I'll second for the purpose of discussion. I'm not sure we have enough information in the motion to, or in this item to know what we're dealing with.
I guess the difference to me came, Amy's email, which I completely agreed with. Just having it on enclosed places with the kids and where sports are being played. But after discussion with Chief Wright, I changed my mind. And Chief, if you would like to come speak to that, to all of council. If you could, the question I had is.
I was contacted this week by Councilman, and he basically was asking me what my stance or what I believed as far as open carry and whatnot. And I, despite beliefs and the way I feel about, what this looks like, our job is obviously to enforce the rules, and whatever rules you all decide to depend upon, we'll go with. But certainly, the law does allow for SLED's recommendation, or their explanation of the law is that you can have you can prohibit people from having open carry or concealed weapons on town property or private property if so well be placed properly, proper signage and whatnot. So I'm trying to get to what you're trying to ask me. Or
I guess my question is the difficulties in enforcing that and how it affects dispatching and
so
police on the
we've had
street.
call taker training already, and our officers have been trained by SLED leading up to Saturdays or Sundays, the law passing for open carry. Obviously, we know what we can do to mitigate and how we can handle these situations. As far as policing it, the whole state is going to be generally shocked, I think, to see this happen for the first time. And there's going to be people who are going to see people with firearms, whether it's on town property or not, and are going to react in a certain way when they call law enforcement. So it's up to us to be level-headed and make sure we're handling the interaction with them properly. As far as concealed weapons on town property, if you have one on you and I don't know about it, we're not shaking people down for firearms.
Chief, I have a few questions.
Yes, sir.
Presently, before this law even comes into effect, is it legal to carry a long gun like an AR-15? Yes. So this General Assembly, in its infinite wisdom, has passed this law that's it's not in effect yet. It applies only to handguns, and it applies only to concealed weapons permit holders.
Correct.
And currently, I guess I'm asking this a lot of people. Currently, we have X number of concealed weapons permit holders in the greater Charleston area in this community. Is there anything restricting a current concealed weapons permit from a permit holder from carrying a concealed handgun, because that's what we're talking about, outside on town property?
No.
Okay. So right now, lawfully, a concealed weapons permit holder can go to a ball game at Gahagan Park carrying a pistol as long as it's concealed.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Let me see if I understand you correctly, Doug. Currently, if someone goes through the process of getting a concealed carry permit, they were eligible to carry a handgun or whatever
With
concealed.
the training, correct.
Um, And it's true that they can carry it in other places other than certain places where it's posted, like if you go into a mall or jurisdiction parks that are posted at a park that no concealed carry weapons allowed, then they couldn't bring it, right? Okay. So I think what we're looking at from Amy's emails that she was suggesting, or that if to preserve the ambience and the cordiality of Somerville, what I was interested in looking at, what she proposed, was that we have the authority under the state legislature to, as a town.
That is correct.
To say that certain areas we would not allow concealed carry permit or open carry, okay?
That is
So
correct.
that's what I thought this was about, that there were certain parks like that we weren't gonna allow open carry because of, we wanted to protect the town and the townspeople. And so I thought she had a list.
She did. It was a list of what she
And I thought
suggested.
that's what we were voting on. That's what I was thinking, that that's what we were going to vote on.
That was what was initially presented, but it may cause some difficulties for the police force if it's specific areas or.
I can agree with that. I either think you should have it or not have it. I think by picking certain parks to have it at, it's left up to a lot of misinterpretation to both the weapon holder as well as law enforcement.
Yeah, and I think this arose out of, one, we already have problems at sports events with fistfights, people challenging umpires, and the thought that a raving parent running on the field yelling at an umpire with a exposed weapon could be considered pretty intimidating, or just a bunch of mothers at a closed-in playground with people walking around with guns showing could also be intimidating.
As a general rule, people who are considered weapons permit holders are law-abiding citizens. We have very little calls about them misbehaving or doing things wrong with their firearms. They let us know when they come in contact with us that they have this permit. They are obviously trained to be able to have that, the same as where they will be open carry. I think, like I said, it's a new law. It's going to be a shock to the culture shock to a lot of people to see people wearing firearms. But that's not to say we can't go up to a person, walk up to them unless it's posted, and say, talk to them and detain them and ask them to see their open carry permit holder. The same as we cannot, if you have a concealed weapons permit holder, is B, if you traffic stop the vehicle because the person didn't have a driver's license and you didn't know that before you stopped them.
Let me ask you a question about that, because that seems counterintuitive. If your officer stops somebody for a traffic violation, they're allowed to ask if there are any weapons in the vehicle.
That's correct.
And somebody with a permit is going to be, first of all, they're going to pass they can pass a background check. They're going to have no criminal history, and they're going to go through training on. And so their answer would be typically, I would think, yes, honor, yes, officer, but I have a concealed weapon permit and my weapon is wherever it is. I mean, that would be what you would expect.
So the way the direction from SLED is that we do not have a right to detain somebody, obviously, to walk up and seize them under the Fourth Amendment to question them about their firearm. If it's a consensual encounter and we're speaking to them, or we're in the middle of a lawful act or engagement because they're suspected of reasonable articulable suspicion, then we can investigate that. But other side of that, you cannot.
So if we don't put any restrictions in place and somebody's walking through Azalea Park with a 45 on their hip, your understanding is you can't go up to them and ask to see their concealed weapons permit?
I can ask them, but they don't have to give it to me, because if I can't stop them. If I want to talk to them and they want to talk to me, that's fine. It's casual engagement conversation. But they could also, it's the same as a concealed weapons permit.
Okay, one of my concerns is what Bill just alluded to is if you've got, let's say after August 15th is when this thing goes into effect, right?
Correct.
And you're in Hutchison Square, you know, with your kids or your family or whatever, and there's 6 people out there that's openly carrying guns. And so how do we know, suppose only 3 of those people are actually legal by state law, right? And the other 2 or 3 are not. So how do you determine who's legal and who is not, or can you do that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're stopping short of accosting people because they have firearms on their person, and that's where there's a delicate line with this law, and why it's, you know, why so many sheriffs and chiefs in South Carolina were against it, because of the level of training that and potential for there to be a misunderstanding. I mean, there's going to be your Second Amendment auditors. They're going to come and want you to do this so they could film you and put you on YouTube video and file lawsuits.
Social media. The thing is too, so right now, currently, prior to August 15th, when this thing goes into effect, where we are right now, how many incidences have you been called on, or people complaining that people had concealed carry weapons? But
very, very little.
Yeah.
It's much like Councilman McIntosh was alluding to, open carrying long rifles. It's legal, but nobody does it. Perfectly rightful to do that, but it's different when it's a handgun.
And that was almost my thought. One, personally, I wouldn't open carry because I'm not trained as y'all are. And if somebody sees that gun and they want it, they are probably going to get it and use it on myself or somebody else. So having a concealed weapon permit, I'm going to conceal my weapon, and putting it out there for somebody to snatch just.
I think, at least from my perspective, there are several things that to be considered. And I think one of them is that this council lets our citizenry and others know that we are very much against open concealed carry in any park, really in town. And but secondly, that's very difficult to enforce on the current concealed weapons, which we have no control over. So there are ways that we can post in parks and other things to let people know that it is not allowed, but the cost, the expense, the ugliness of ruining a Hutchison Square with 3 by 4 foot signs that you got to have at every point of entry. I mean, you got to read this thing to understand the onerousness of what it puts on the town. And so I think us as a council sending a message is this is something we hope we don't see here while we try to determine where, how we post is about what we can do right now.
Well, and that's where I'm coming from with my peppering the chief with questions. We've got a situation now before this particular piece of legislation comes into effect in a few days, where no matter what we do tonight is perfectly lawful for someone to walk around Azalea Park, Hutchison Square, Gahagan Park, anywhere, carrying a long rifle, including an AR-15. And what we do tonight isn't going to change that. We also have had the ability, ever since the concealed weapons law came into effect a good 15, 20 years ago, to have banned concealed weapons in those places, and we haven't done it. So now we have a new law about to go into effect that expands the rights of only concealed weapons permit holders and allows them to only those permit holders to open carry pistols. And I'm with Bob. I don't know why you would want to do that. But in order for us to now, for the first time, say, we said for years, for decades, it's fine to walk around Gahagan or Hutchinson Square, anywhere with a concealed gun, but we don't want you to have it out in the open. And I understand, you know, it's going to be a shock, as the chief says, to see people walking around with an open pistol. I don't think you'll see it often. But in order to stop that, we've got to put 3 foot by 4 foot signs at the entrance to every entry point to Hutchinson Square. I'm just not willing to do that. I don't think you're going to see concealed weapons permit holders walking around our parks with openly displaying pistols. I could be wrong, but I don't think we will. And if we are, maybe we take up some restrictions then.
Well, one of the things too that popped into my mind was when we started talking about this is, I mean, I agree with Terry. We want to preserve our parks and stuff like that from violence. We've been a great city. We've had very little violence in Somerville. I certainly like to keep it that way. You know, if you have a situation where some people see other people doing things, then they want to do it too. And so if you have the legal people, and like you say, they're trained and they're probably not even going to carry the gun in public, open carry, but then so if they see 1 or 2 people doing it, somebody else is going to say, okay, I'm going to get me a gun too, you know, because everybody else is strapping on. The amazing thing about it is, here we are 200 plus years later, and there was a guy named Wyatt Earp in Dodge City, and he recognized back then that that only law enforcement people should have guns, and he took people's guns away. But I don't know how this thing is going to play out, but it really concerns me, you know, that here we are, have a beautiful city that's so attractive. People are coming here in droves and dozens. We have very little violence or confrontations or problems in this town. It's a great place to live, and I just hope we can continue to do that. Bill mentioned the posting of signs and all of that stuff, but to me, posting the signs is worth it. You know, if we have to post big signs saying in this particular park or this particular jurisdiction of the town, you can't have those guns. You can't have that open carry. I think it's worth it.
Yeah, and I'm really conflicted between those two things myself. I strongly support everybody's right to carry a weapon, period. But especially me being involved in Little League Baseball and all, it gets pretty bad out there sometimes. And, you know, even our park director has mentioned that we had the problem. So maybe if we just put up smaller signs around Gahagan Park that just lets them know that we would prefer that people don't open carry, just so regular citizens aren't intimidated. I mean,
well, I think the state is dictating the size of the signs, correct?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Allow people to know that we prefer they don't, and hope that having a concealed weapons permit, they're respectful enough.
But when
to
Amy
show
sent
their
out, her first missive about, you know, when she went to that Zoom meeting and picked up on this new law, and she sent out a message to all of us, and then we started messaging each other by email, remember, guys? And it seems that the consensus at that time was that we were basically following what she was recommending, that certain parks she had yes, and some places she had no, and that sort of thing. So I was thinking when I saw this on the agenda tonight, maybe we're not ready to vote yet. I don't know. You know, maybe we need to think about it some more. But
when does this law go into?
We got to make a decision.
Sunday?
We got to make a decision by August 15th. Is that correct?
I think we can make a decision anytime.
Right.
But the law goes in effect August 15th, but we can make a decision after that.
Yeah.
Mr. Brown, I agree with you a bit. It just seems to me like we need a little bit more information. How this is stated here, it's confusing. Are we restricting both concealed weapon permit holders and people that just open carry weapons? Are and it doesn't really specify, it just says property owned. And so I just think we need a little more, if we're going to word something, it needs to be a little more specific. And then I'd really like to go back and talk about the signage, and especially if we were to put any signage in Hutchinson Square. And so I would move that we would meet at a different time when we get more information, perhaps have a special meeting or carry this into September to vote on it when we just have a little more information.
I'll second that motion.
I've been in the NRA for about 30 or 40 years, and I'll probably get thrown out now when I say this, but what we're doing, we're not prohibiting anybody from carrying a pistol, revolver, long gun. They can do that if they've got the concealed weapons permit. All it is that you can't display that weapon outside where somebody can see it. And it only applies to concealed weapons permit carriers. It doesn't apply to anybody. None of this applies to anybody that doesn't have a concealed weapons permit. I don't see any reason in the world to allow someone to be carrying a pistol or revolver outside where they can show it off or whatever. I don't see a legitimate reason for it. They can be protected, they can be armed, they can do anything they need to do in that regard with a concealed weapon. I think we ought to go ahead and bite the bullet on the signs and post all of our property outside that we can't do it. In places that are fairly small, like Hutchinson Square, I think as long as the sign is visible from an entrance, we could do one sign in the middle, double-sided sign that you can see from either end of it, and probably get by with that. I mean, I think we've got to do a common sense compliance with the sign law and just do the best we can. I mean, the worst that can happen is somebody beats the ticket if their sign isn't big enough or isn't in exactly the right spot. But, we can.
I just see this as a solution in search of a problem until you convince me that concealed weapons permit holders in this community are going to start showing up in our town spaces, open carrying. I don't know why they would want to do that, but
Well, what if you have another demonstration or riot or whatever it progresses into, and you got people that on both sides of an issue, and some of them have concealed weapons permits, so they're going to be flashing.
Yeah, because I mean, last time, even though it was legal, the fellow on the roof with the long gun was rather intimidating.
Yeah.
I would like to interject if possible. I think Amy mentioned also special permits for special events. I do not think that, in my opinion, that we should allow anybody to have a firearm at an event where there's alcohol being served, much like in a bar.
If we were to, I tend to agree with you on that, and a concealed weapons permit holder cannot take his or her pistol into a bar.
Right.
As it is now, and cannot consume alcohol. It's a violation of their permit to be consuming alcohol while concealed carrying. So if there's a way for us to ban both concealed and open carry as a part of a permit and not post these 3x4 signs, I would be okay with that. I just don't think we're ready to vote on it. I mean, we've allowed concealed carry for 2 decades and not given it, when we could have banned it and not given it a second thought. I think, in my view, that's the issue, that the potential problem at a ball game at Gehagen is probably a bigger issue is the concealed carry, not the open carry. And I mean, if somebody's out and they happen to be a concealed weapons permit holder, I'd like to know about the gun as opposed to not knowing about the gun. And it's never crossed our mind to ban, that I'm aware of, to ban concealed carry in our parks or playgrounds, but
I think for me, particularly in that situation, a concealed weapon, if if they show it, they're in trouble. If you reach in at a game when you're arguing with an umpire and show your weapon, now you're saying it's okay to show your weapon.
I understand.
So, and the police force can't do anything unless they're committing a crime. So if this concealed person pulls his weapon out and shows it, he's still within the law.
See, I mean,
You
I've
got
struggled. I've struggled.
point to present a firearm situation there where you could be charged.
That's correct.
Yeah, I mean, open carry means carried. It doesn't mean waving it around. Once you take it out of that holster, Chief Wright's taking you down.
Sir?
No.
I'm not. Somebody else will.
Times have changed.
It looks like the only problem in doing this and banning the open carry is not wanting to do the signs. And I'm not sure that the signs are that big of a deal.
Would the sign say would ban concealed as well, or just open?
It can.
Just open
You can't-
carry.
you
No,
can't.
you have the right to carry a weapon.
Just ban open carry. That's what
Yeah. I mean, I would like to at least see it at Gahagan for a start.
I believe we have the right at Gahagan. We don't, at one time we did, and we had the right to property owners have a right to not allow concealed carry.
That's correct. It's private property.
We just never
Okay.
did it.
Okay.
And as according to what Amy presented to us, you all have the same power to do that for town property.
Right. But we've never wanted to ban concealed carry, but now we're concerned about open carry. And I'm concerned about open carry. I don't like the idea of people openly carrying handguns in Azalea Park or Hutchinson Square or Gahagan. I'm just not convinced it's actually going to happen. And my concern was that you guys might not have the ability to ascertain whether or not they were lawfully openly carrying by
It's a slippery
asking
slope.
them for their permit.
Yes, sir.
Here's what I'd like to do, because we can talk about this all night. Is I'm gonna appoint a committee. Kim had a good idea. I'm gonna appoint a committee because we're not gonna vote on anything before Sunday. And I don't think there's any race to appoint or to come up with something by Sunday. Because I agree with what almost everybody's saying. Hell, there could be people sitting in here with guns right now, and I'm not talking about Doug as a police chief. Is I'm gonna appoint Bill and Walter and Doug as a three-person committee to study this thing and come back with a recommendation to us at the September Finance Committee meeting. And y'all try to do the best you can do to come up with something that'll work with the signage and something that'll meet the law that our great representatives up there have passed to us to live with. You know, they passed a law and sent it down to us local people that got to try to make it work. They don't have to make it work. They up there in Columbia and I'm mad as hell with them. Because, you know, we got to try to protect our citizens. And for the first time, like Bill said, people have been carrying guns forever. He and I got a couple of friends that carry them all the time.
I don't even know who you're talking
And they've been carrying them for years in their pockets. And, you know, and there are tons of people that do that. Now, they're not carrying them to hurt somebody. They're carrying them because I guess they feel like they need the protection. But you all do the best you can do. If you will do that for me and the rest of the council, and we get together, Walter, because all of you got kind of a different idea, but you can bring those ideas together, and you got Doug as a police officer who's studied the law some, and certainly gets his advice from SLED. And y'all come back at the finance committee meeting in September, and let's try to come up with something that we can vote on, because we're not prepared to vote on anything tonight that we're not gonna have to change. I can already see that happening.
Yes, sir. May I make a recommendation?
Yes, sir.
Would it be possible to have Amy on it as well?
Sure.
I think with her
Sure.
expertise with Parks and Recreation.
Right.
she would have-
And then Parks and Recreation is gonna be the biggest problem we have. Yeah. If y'all will do that, let's do that and get over this thing tonight.
Do we need to vote on Kimma's motion to put it off, or do we just move to the next item?
I can withdraw my
All
motion.
right.
I can withdraw my motion.
Okay, let's move on to the next. Since you withdrew that, we can move on to the next thing, whatever it is.
Next, we have public comment. David Neal.
Thank you very much. That was a very interesting conversation about the CWP. I would add, this was a comment that a public person that lives in the town would be good on that committee too, as far as input, but most of this is agreed on. But anyway, I think that would be a good idea. I would like to address my comments mostly to Mr. Waring, and I know Mr. Bailey's helped me with this. The at East Richardson Sawmill Trail, there's been a great deal of improvement at the parking lot with me. And I don't know if stormwater is in charge, but there's been some improvement. Looks like they're halfway in between graveling it and finishing it. I hope they finish it and make it into a nice parking lot. I was talking to a couple up there the other day, and they're from out of town. They couldn't believe it. So there's really nowhere else to park other than that. So you've been helping with that. I appreciate it. In the same vein, are there going to be any plans or recommend plans to have a trail, a substitute trail opposite the existing trail between Ashley and Loudon, part of Sawmill Trail? Because when they start construction, we won't have access to that. That's about a mile or so that we won't have access to. Just a recommendation. And your police chief has been very well updating me on Highway 17 and what's going on out there. And I think there's been a great deal of improvement there. So it does help to come and comment. And finally, the median at the Amoco on 17, again, I knew you were helping with that, and I know Mr. Bailey was helping with that, but is there any movement on that? That median needs to be removed. And it is a safe gap. And yeah. And before it becomes an issue, is there any more movement on that, Mr. Mayor? On the median itself, removing it?
Mr. Mayor, if I might address that, since I'm, it's part of the UDO amendments that we had just read, we gave second reading on, that's addressing that issue. And I can't give legal advice on what Mr. Patel should or should not do at this point, but I think that he could go ahead and remove that.
Is it his responsibility?
Uh,
Or the town?
It's not, yeah, Terry's also. I've spoken with Danny Patel on this, and at this point in time, he is allowed to remove, I think it's a 60-foot medium now. He's allowed to remove 35 feet of it and leave 25. We have let him know that if he will go out and get 2 quotes to have it removed, to do that we will reimburse him for him having done that. And the section that he's going to take out removes, and at least in my mind, the hazardous part of the situation. It allows you to move in and out of almost every lane without any problem at the pumps.
And its origination, I never understood in the first place, but I thought.
Yeah, Mr. Jenkins is absolutely correct on that. But my point was that since that agreement was reached,
we had the second reading on the UDO, which, as I understand the fact of that, it would enable Mr. Patel to go ahead and take the entire thing out. And who pays for it or not, I don't know at this point. And Mr. Parker would have to be the final word on this, the effect of that change on Mr. Patel. But council has certainly been working on that problem.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Linda Wetzel.
Good evening. As Diane said that it was a great day to be in Somerville, or it's great to live in Somerville, but it is not. I am sorry to say that certain people are treated different. Can't get police to come down your road unless you file some kind of 30-day trial that you have to check with the police chief or whoever's in charge. I have flooding in my backyard. I have trash in our neighborhood, unkept ditches. This is what our ditch look like. I talked to the mayor a month ago. Nothing has been cleaned. Somebody was supposed to have a work permit done. It hasn't been done. For 30 days, the same mess is on that street. People are sleeping in the park in the morning. When we walk in the morning, behind the courthouse, behind this place, sleeping in the park. In the park over Hutchinson Square, sleeping in the park. I'm afraid in the morning because of what's going on. I don't feel safe watching somebody sleeping in the park. I found them where I work at, I volunteer. Behind the building, people are sleeping. Whether Somerville realize it or not, they are homeless people in Somerville. And something has to be done. They need to have a place to stay. And I work with trying to help people with clothing and food and stuff. It is terrible. And the disrespect of some of the city councilmen, they are sitting in here talking and laughing while other stuff is discussed. This is supposed to be a professional business, okay? I want to pay my light bill. I don't want to have to keep mailing it. I've asked why Dominion Energy does not open an office so elderly people can pay their light bills, because they're not tech savvy. I found out that the building is being dedicated to Somerville. How could you do that? How could somebody be that disrespectful for us? And our state congressmen, Lindsey Graham, Tim Scott, they're useless. You call them and they say, they'll call you right back. They never do. Whatever situations that's going on, statewide, federal, they belong to South Carolina. And somebody needs to get off of their butts and do the job. I'm sick and tired of what's going on. My neighborhood, you pave Buford Street. Guess what? Germantown Road is the worst road in our area. You keep patching it with peanut butter or a bandage on it, and the road hasn't been fixed yet. Water all over the road. We need peace and calm in my neighborhood. Beer cans, a lot next to us. At night, people are sitting up there. It's almost near my bedroom to watch the lights come on. People drive through. Can't get nobody to come down there to see what's going on. Unkept lots. People who tore down houses. The lots are so high, they got a big dog that's in that lot. You got those small children from the end of the road. If one of those kids get attacked, whose fault is it? Nobody is taking care of Somerville. Somerville's, you know what? I've been here 68 years. And these people who come here trying to take over our city and building houses on top of drains and flooding all over the place. Mr. Mayor, who's running this town? We need somebody to take care of us, who's been there and not come there. Thank you.
Thank you.
We don't have any more public comment.
Mr. Mayor, I'd move that we now go into executive session to discuss legal and contractual matters regarding the lease at 100 West Richardson, this potential sale or lease of a portion of Woodlands Tract in the Kramer Building, and access to 107 Allison Lane.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by raising your hand, voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, ayes carried.